Chapter 14 Liam's POV. I barely slept that night. 87% ease vouchers every time I closed my eyes. The Ferris wheel photo flashed behind my eyelids. All I could see was Angela laughing, my arm around her, the world small and distant beneath us, followed immediately by the toxic caption. Someone had been watching us. Someone had followed us. And worse, someone knew enough to weaponize it. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, mind spinning through a list of names like a wheel of suspects. Ethan. The obvious one. The selfish bastard who tossed Angela aside like she was disposable. But the messages didn't match his style. Ethan was cruel in person, not calculated from the shadows. If he wanted to talk, he would tell me to my face. There was his self-obsessed girlfriend Maya. But it would be too obvious. Too messy. And honestly, she was too self-involved to orchestrate something this deliberate. But then could it be an ex-girlfriend? I almost laughed out loud at that thought. People thought I had a revolving door of women. My teammates joked about it. Even the tabloids assume it. That was what got my mother so agitated. But the truth? Pathetic and simple, I hadn't actually dated anyone seriously in years. Because no one ever measured up to Angela. I'd been in love with her since we were teenagers. Since she'd handed me a broken pencil in class because she didn't like seeing people struggle. Since she stood up for the freshman team manager when upperclassmen teased him. Since she hugged me when I lost my grandfather even though I'd pretended I was fine. No matter how at odds we were, she still cared about me. That was why I loved her. She saw me when no one else did, and I would never trade that for anything at all. No one else stood a chance after that. So no, this wasn't one of my exes. There weren't enough of them and none of them mattered enough. Which left me with nothing. No clear answer. Just a tightening my chest every time I remembered the way Angela shook last night. I checked on her around dawn. I kicked softly and when she did open, I pushed the door slightly and froze at the sight of her. She was curled up on her side, clutching the sleeve of her hoodie. My hoodie. The sight pulled something fierce and soft out of me, something that made my throat tighten. I didn't dare wake her. Not when she finally looked peaceful. I closed the door softly and went to the kitchen to get coffee started because I needed a cup every morning. I just sat down on the couch when a knock rattled the door. Gat. One morning I needed peace. Someone just had to ruin the fun. When I opened the door, Marcus shoved past me with a grin. 1/3 less than 15.25 Friday, January 23rd DGG. Chapter 14, nice welcoming smile, he said, brushing past me like he owned the place. Morning to you too, sunshine, he froze mid-step. Because there, standing in the hallway in one of my old college hoodies, hair messy, eyes still drowsy, was Angela. Marcus's eyebrows shot up. Then the grin spread slowly and wickedly across his face. Well, he said under his breath. So this is her. Angela blinked awkwardly. Hi, Marcus, I snapped. Stop staring. He didn't. If anything, he stared harder. You didn't tell me she was living with you. 87% 8. Angela flushed lightly, tugging the sleeve of my hoodie further down her hand. I stepped instinctively closer to her, as if shielding her from his curiosity. We're roommates, I said quickly. Marcus snorted. Right, and I'm the Queen of England. Angela looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. I hated that. Marcus, she said politely, it's nice to meet you. I'll give you two some space. She disappeared into her room before I could stop her. The second she was gone, Marcus rounded on me. You finally told her. I said nothing. Because the answer was complicated. Because the truth wasn't something I could just blurt out, not when she was already terrified, not when someone was stalking her. Marcus's expression hardened. Liam. Secrets have a way of blowing up when you least want him to. If someone's messing with her, and you're hiding things, that's dynamite waiting for match. I scrubbed my hands over my face. I know. He clapped a hand on my shoulder with that mix of brotherly affection and blunt honesty that only he could manage. Then fix it before it fixes you. I know. I'm working on it, I told him, and he nodded. Come on. We have practice. Coach Hensley will kill us if we're I'll be down in a sec. I headed to my room and grabbed my Trang gear. Then, I went down the hall to Angela's room. I knocked softly and she opened it. She was still in my hoodie and I had to force myself to look away. I'm heading to practice, Bo. Call me if there's anything you feed. Okay, be careful and please, don't get into another fight, she said softly and I smiled. 2/3 1525 Friday, January 23rd DGG Chapter 14, I won't. The coffee is still hot. Grab a cup. She nodded and I turned to walk away. Liam, she called and I turned to look at her. 87% 065 vouchers. I hope you don't mind me wearing your hoodie. I needed to do the laundry, she said, her eyes not meeting mine, and I smiled and walked up to her, my hands caressing her face. She didn't pull back. She just watched me. I don't mind you wearing them, Angel. I don't use them that often and it looks good on you. She gulped and I felt my dick harden just from the sight of her. I reluctantly pulled back. I need to leave now. Marcus is waiting. All right. I'll see you later, she said, and I nodded, turning away quickly before I did something I'd regret. When I got to the living room, Marcus was already pacing. Let's go, man, I told him, and he just smirked and followed me out the door. 3/3 AD comment send gift no